So the background of everything is politics. And when you play politics, there's bound to be conflict.
Iran has responded with some attacks on some US bases in different countries across the world. And as it stands, we don't know when the war is going to end. Today on Table Talk here at NAS TV Africa, we have someone really, really special. He's a public affairs analyst, an author, and a well-traveled political scientist. Please help me make welcome Comrade Abdulateef Show. Glad to have you here in the program today, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, I am sure you've been following the trend of the US collaboration with Israel, staging a war with Iran. So could you please share with us what exactly could be Americans' interest in this war?
Thank you very much for having me once again. Let me quickly say that the war itself is all about struggle. And that explains why Aristotle had to coin his own definition of politics as struggle for survival. Politics is played everywhere, in your home, in your town, in your relationships.
Yes.
Between father and mother, politics is played. Between parents and children, politics is played. Between and among nations of the world, politics is played. And that is why even a philosopher had to title his book, Politics Among Nations, Hans Morgenthau. So when you look at the background of politics, when you look at the import of politics in world affairs, then you won't separate what is happening at the international system from politics. So the background of everything is politics. And when you play politics, there's bound to be conflict. However, whenever there is crisis, when politics is ongoing or politicking, then you build consensus. So how do we build consensus is what leaders are now talking about. But going into the background of why America is always at the loghead with Middle Eastern nations and Israel, then we'll have to go back into history. Some believe that America is waging war against these countries or these nations because of oil. Some scholars believe that no, it is not oil interest. It is about extending their frontier. It's about telling the world that they are the most powerful. So it's about giving a kind of note to countries of the world that you don't dare us. Some believe it's all about America's national interest. Some believe it's about military strength and so on and so forth. Some believe it's about religion, it's about Muslim, Christian, whatever. To me, I think we can't say no to any of these reasons advanced by people that are interested in world politics. So when you go back a little bit into the history and the geopolitics of the crisis, then you may agree with everyone saying it is this or that. Because if you look at the Middle East, to our viewers that may not know, is Western Asia. That's the Middle East. Countries in the Western Asia are countries like Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Israel, Oman, Qatar, UAE, and so on and so forth. If you look at about 15 countries that are in the Middle East, why is it that only Israel is not Islamic? So the crisis stems from there. Middle Eastern nations, particularly Iran, or let me say the hardliners among the Middle Eastern countries, believe Israel shouldn't exist
in the Middle East
within them. That America strategically planted
Israel
to cause trouble in the Middle East. Some hardliners in the Middle East believe that, and particularly Iran. Now, if you go back to the history before 1948, Israel was not in the Middle East. In fact, as a matter of fact, Israel in the period of Jesus Christ was a nomadic nation. A nation on the move. And that's why political scientists believe, or international relation experts believe, that among the 4 cardinal attributes of a state, territory is very important. That a nation without territory is not recognized at the international system. It might be recognized as a nation, but it's not seen as a state at the international system. Now, Israel didn't have a territory of its own until 1948, when America created that place for Israel. So countries around that place, especially when crisis started to surface, believe America deliberately planted Israel in between them to cause trouble. These are set of scholars that are looking at the issue from territorial problem. Very close to territorial problem is religion. That how come other countries around that region are predominantly Muslims, though Israel isn't particularly a Christian country.
It's a Jewish nation.
It's a Jewish nation.
Yeah.
But to an average Muslim, like the Shia in Iran or the Sunni, as a matter of fact, the Shia in Iran constitutes 90% of the entire population, while the Sunni constitutes 10%. In Saudi Arabia, Sunni constitutes about 95%. Other sects in Islam share the rest. So if the Sunni in Saudi Arabia are 90% or more than 90%, and the Sunni in Iran are 10%, then there's a rivalry between Iran and Saudi Arabia.
So just to pause you for a minute, sir. Now, the postulations from some scholars in America and other nations has been that Iran has been a very violent nation. And that is why Donald Trump in his speech has been citing Iran particularly as a terrorist state. Now, you've mentioned something of having the Sunnah and then the Shia. Are we saying now that those who are of the Shia sect are of the violent type, while the Sunni are of the more livable type? Because for a long time, we've not had threats being issued to Saudi Arabia. It's always been Iran consistently. So do you think that there might just be a reason why Iran, having the larger sect of the Shia guys, being profiled as a terrorist state?
If you are in possession of my father's property, but my father had about 5 children, but only me keep asking for my portion, they are a terrorist. The remaining 4 that will come to you, they are, Daddy, can I get 1,000 naira from you? And you give 1,000 naira. Thank you, sir. You will like the remaining 4 and hate the one that asks for his right persistently. That's exactly what is happening. Because if you look at the situation, Saudi Arabia and Iran are at loggerhead on which Islamic country will dominate the Middle East. So America relating with Saudi Arabia or being a friend of Saudi Arabia is automatically an enemy of Iran. And the cause of the current crisis are not outside historical perspective and ideological perspective. Historical perspective in the sense that from 1953, America has been intervening in the internal politics of Iran up to 1989.
But what then could
when Ayatollah Khomeini became their leader, their supreme leader, 1989. In the past, America, particularly in 1953, America planted someone, that is Ayatollah Shah. He was always listening to America, but violating human rights in his own country. But America ignored the violation of human rights because he was supporting America. Now, okay, how do you think it was possible for America to just pick Venezuelan president Maduro It was because even the citizens were shouting that the iron fist style of Maduro is affecting them. In about 28 million people of Venezuela, about 7.9 people had fled Venezuela before America even intervened. So America had a ground to say that we want to rescue your people. So back to your question, that why is it only Iran? I told you that it is ideological, in the sense that Iran is seen as a nation that is breeding nuclear weapon of mass destruction. But no country build nuclear weapon just to attack people. Mostly they build nuclear weapon as a form of protection.
Defense for their nation.
That once you know that we have nuclear weapon, you will be afraid and be wary of attacking us. Okay? North Korea has nuclear weapon. How come America has not declared them as persona non grata?
I think some people have said North Korea just mind their business. They don't necessarily, foment trouble.
That is it. It is because the Israel and Iran, they don't see eye to eye.
Not loggerheads for a while.
Because they believe America is the one sponsoring Israel to destroy Palestine. And Iran has always been the one training the fighters in Palestine and supplying them ammunition. That's automatically against Israel. And that's against America. North Korea has never come out to support Palestine. Saudi Arabia has never come out to support Palestine. Oman has never come out to support Palestine. Qatar has never come out to support Palestine. UAE has never come out to support Palestine. So, an enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's the situation at the moment. So, Iran has been seen to support Palestine and automatically an enemy of Israel. Anybody who is fighting, that is fighting Israel, is an automatic enemy of America, of the US. So that is why it has always been Iran that is always at the loggerhead. So, the North Korea has never posed threat to Israel, in spite of the fact that they have nuclear weapon of mass destruction, because they are friends. And that's why when America supervised nuclear weapon disarmament in 2008, America has to pull out in 2018 because Iran did not want America to supervise. Okay, you want to disarm us. You don't want us to possess nuclear weapon. You are the one to supervise and dictate to us the kind of what we should have, and we are not friends.
Feels like colonialism.
So Iran feels that it will be United Nations performing this role, not the US. That the self-imposed police of the world title that the US is wearing is making them uncomfortable. The US feel that we are so powerful that no country should refuse to listen to us. Why only you? Then Iran feels that once it bows for Israel, Israel will be the one dominating the Middle East. So it is ideological, in the sense that even the Iranians, look at what happened after the death of Ayatollah Khomeini. They trooped into town and they were weeping because they know the importance of a supreme leader in protecting their internal or external insurrection. So they feel they are exposed by the death of their supreme leader. It means he has the support of the majority in his own country. So they don't want, because what is happening now has what political scientists call endogamous factor and exogamous factor of a crisis. That is, things that happen
within and without,
internally that cause crisis, and things that happen externally that cause crisis. So among the exogamous factors is the foreign policy of the US in the Middle East and vis-a-vis the Israelis. So why is Palestine suffering under Israel and America is watching? Okay, Ukraine is suffering under Russia, but America has not deemed it fit to attack Russia because they have nuclear weapon. So nuclear weapon is a defensive mechanism at the international system that will make a country to think twice before attacking such a country. Then there is the need for what is called balance of power at the international scene. You know, balance of power is a concept that was propounded in the 17th century, that once we identify that 5 countries are powerful or 3 countries are powerful, we kill other weaker countries under them. Don't come to the countries under me, I won't come to the countries under you. That balances the power of international world. But as it is now, the US seems to exercise more power than every other powerful country in the world. And that is why Niccolo Machiavelli said, power is useless until you have exercised it. You are in possession of power is useless until you have made people to see that I have power. I know the word that I have power. But I'm afraid that America will not force the premonition of Nostradamus to come to play. You know Nostradamus, the man who saw tomorrow, who died about 400 years ago, but had a premonition of what will happen to the world and how wars will eventually end the world, and how he had a premonition. You know, America came into being officially in 1776 when allegiance was taken to Philadelphia on the 13 different nations that came together to form the United States. 13 states united to form America. Nostradamus had this in his dreams, in what will happen in the future. If you calculate 1776 and now, just 200 years plus, but Nostradamus said this 400 years ago, that a country will come after Second World War that will be so powerful that it will conquer the world, but eventually be pulled down by a region that is described that is fitting the position of Middle East now. So if America is afraid of the Middle East, especially Iran, I won't blame them, because of certain premonition Nostradamus had that have come to play. So when you look at it, the crisis, you want to be surprised that how come that Iran is attacking fellow Muslim nations even before attacking America. It is because Iran sees those countries as allies of America, because America is using their military base to spy and attack Iran.
So I think this also defeats the idea of it being a religious war.
It's not strictly religious war. It is ideological, it is political interest based, it is economic based. The religious aspect of it might not be more than 15-20%. Might not be more than 15-20%. And that is when America is protecting the interest of Saudi Arabia and other Islamic countries and wanting Saudi to dominate Middle East rather than Iran. That may be religious.
Okay.
Or when America protects Israel against Palestine, that may have religious undertone.
Okay, let's
that is by and large. It is 75% not religious than very religion.
Okay, so let's press further. I won't believe that Iran has diplomatic ties with other nations, and looking at the strikes, the counter strikes, you know, the attacks, the counter response to the attacks, there may be a need for some of those countries to show their loyalty to a country like Iran. Do we see World War III coming?
Like, which country wants to show loyalty to Iran?
I mean, at this point, maybe China could want to get involved.
Maybe Nigeria.
I mean, I don't think Nigeria has the capacity to do that at the moment. But looking at the situation on ground, Iran cannot be left alone in this matter. They should have experts who can, of course, convince other countries to support them. In the case where we have a war, but do we see a World War III coming?
Well, if you look at what triggered World War I between 1914 and 1918, you will see that it wasn't something significant as what triggered World War II. So if you look at what is triggering conflicts now, it is heavier than even what triggered World War II. So I won't say you are wrong if people are having premonition that America might launch the war
to World War III
and the way to World War III. However, it's very difficult for countries of the world to just jump into that war because every country wants to maintain what Nigeria is maintaining, non-alignment. That you never see me here.
Yeah, there.
Won't it surprise you that the most giant nation or kind of state in Africa is not talking? But the Bola Ahmed Tinubu has not needed.
Well, we have people protesting from Nigeria. What do we say about that? In support of Iran.
Mostly Muslims.
Oh, okay, so it's not a religious thing for them.
Most Christians, most people jubilating in Nigeria that America attacked Iran are Christians.
Oh, okay, so Nigeria is on the other side.
And that explains how naive
people can be.
When we are talking about international politics. People are not really knowledgeable when we are talking about international politics. Many people feel that why America is attacking Iran is basically
religion.
Some believe that it is their interest on oil. Okay, such a people should go back into history and see that America had a lot of interest in Korean politics, and Korea doesn't have much oil. They protected the interests of South Korea. In fact, the first president in the US that will step his toes on the soil of North Korea is the President Donald Trump. And he was there to protect the interests of South Korea. So when you look at it, it is not every time America fights based on economic interest. America is different from Britain. While Britain emphasizes economic interest, America emphasizes mightiness. America wants to be seen as being mighty.
Military strength.
So, if anybody should intervene in this war, it should be the G5 of the United Nations.
Yes.
The minus US now, the US is part of the G5. So we talk of the UK now, France, Russia, and China. So, why would China want to intervene in the war or face the US? It depends on how close China is with Iran. The economic interest of China in US, the economic interest of China in Iran, which one is higher? Which one is heavier? Which one will assist China? So they will consider their national interest while trying to launch themselves into a war that never affected them. Even though they are powerful members of the United Nations. USSR is a country that can easily find itself in the world because of the kind of relationship between that country and the US. Notwithstanding, they will go back into checking whether Iran had ever been in their support in the past. And what do they stand to gain by assisting Iran to fight the US? As it is now, Iran has not invited any country of the world. They have not made a statement to invite any country. They keep telling the world that they can
do it on their own. On their own.
And that's why they sent a message to the US, and US is shifting now by attacking 7 countries around them at the same time and destroying all American bases in those countries. Shows the strength of Iran. Number 2, that the killing of the supreme leader has no effect in the arrangement they have of who succeeds who.
The security architecture.
The security architecture they have. It's like targeting Olubadan of Ibadan land. They know their successor already. So you need not kill him. Why we kill him is you never get to the person you are targeting. Because they have a successor plan. The same thing in Iran. So when you look at the situation, what the country of the world should do now is for AU that encompasses all African countries. Right now, I expect the strongest countries in Africa, like President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President Ramaphosa, to come together now and start thinking of how do they come in, how do they plead to the 2 countries to ceasefire.
Well, do you think that
the Europe
to also come
and I expect every member of the United Nations to start clamoring for emergency meeting of the United Nations and how the United Nations should step in. But as it is now, it's like every country in the United Nations is afraid of the US. And should the war continue, And Iran continues to attack its neighboring countries. Those neighboring countries and Israel will eventually come together to face Iran. And that may provoke countries like South Korea, USSR, to launch an attack on the US.
And things spiral into...
And if that happens, Third World War has commenced. So as you have leaders in countries, we have leaders at the international system. We have actors, state actors and non-state actors. What roles are the non-state actors playing at the moment? We have people that are influential at the international system, non-state actors. How many of them have started calling on the US or the United Nations to point the war? Everybody's either clapping for this one or clapping for them. So as it is now, it's like we are in a anarchical situation in which Thomas Hobbes described as retrogressing back to the state of the nature, where life
British.
is short, brutish,
Yeah.
solitary, and nasty. He emphasized that in such a situation, there will be a war of all against all. Then the strongest will conquer the rest. World War I induced the USSR as the most powerful, as against the UK, the United Kingdom, Great Britain. World War II produced the United States of America. If care is not taken, World War III might bring about the emergence of another country and suppress America.
Wow. That's been a very beautiful conversation with you, Comrade Abdulateef. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today on Table Talk here at NAS TV. And to your wonderful audience, thank you for joining us again on this wonderful conversation at NAS TV Africa. Do not forget to follow us on all social media platforms at NAS TV Africa, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Do also like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And of course, we'll see you again next time. I remain Innocent Obuna. This is NAS TV Africa, where we manifest Africa's greatness.